Hey, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. You new to my channel? Smash that subscribe button. Please and thank you. I was in a blog on Facebook. It said something to the effect of single people aren't fishing in the sea because there's no fish or something like that. It was a meme or not a meme, but it was a thing somebody put on Facebook. Something to the effect of singles are remaining single because there's no fish in the sea or something like that. It was something like that. So I went and read all because it was like thousands of comments. And so I went and read all the comments, put my little 2 cents in. And there were some really interesting comments in there. You really tell by some of the things that some of these people were writing that a lot of them were bitter and damaged. It's this one guy that came on there and said that there's somebody out there for everyone and this and that and the other. And I came back and then he went and said some other stuff. I didn't read really the whole thing what he said. And I said that's not true. I said that I came back and told him, I said, this someone for everyone thing is a fantasy. I said it's a fantasy. I said, what about the people that die every day that never met their true love or the one love of their life? That's what I said something to that effect. And I thought about that. I said, there's somebody out there for everyone. How many times have you heard that? If you're of a particular age, you've been here for a while, you've heard that. I've heard that a few times in my lifetime. I've heard people say that. There's somebody out there for everybody. I've heard that many times. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard it many times in my lifespan. There's someone out there for everybody. Not true. It's a fantasy. That's another one of those fantasies that people conjure up in their head because I guess people like to think things like this because it makes them feel better. And I guess maybe at some point I might have believed it myself. At one time or another, who knows? I might have believed it myself. And I think people conjure these things up in their head. It makes them feel better. It gives them a sense of comfort. And it makes them feel better about being single. And what do we have if we don't have hope, right? And it gives people hope. It gives people hope that, there's a possibility that could be somebody out there. It gives people hope. I think people tell themselves that because it gives people hope, But I think it's a fantasy. I'm at an age where I deal in reality. I don't deal in fantasies. I look at things exactly for the way they are. I don't know about everybody else, but that's the way, at my age that I am now, that's just the way I look at life. I look at things for the way they are and not the way I want to see them. I don't look at the world through rose-colored glasses. I look at things exactly for the way they are and not the way I want to see them. And I done been through some things in my life. My life hasn't been easy. I've had a rough life. I'm gonna be honest with you. And so I've lived long enough to realize that life is not a fantasy. And I've been through enough to know that life is not a fantasy. And some things are not always the way it seems. It's like the way things you think things are in your head. A lot of times it's not reality. And I think it makes people feel better to tell themselves that. Like when someone dies, they'll say, they have a loved one that dies and they'll say, oh, they're in heaven. The reality is they're not in heaven. They're in the grave. When Jesus come back, there will be a resurrection. You know, they're resting asleep in their grave. That's the reality. Or it's like people tell themselves things, like um, you know, my loved one is talking to me, or whatever, is looking down on me. No, the Bible specifically says that the dead is conscious of nothing. That the dead is conscious of nothing. Okay, so but people tell themselves, this is not a spiritual video, but I'm just saying that that's one example of people tell themselves things to make themselves feel better. There's nothing wrong with having hope, because if you don't have hope, you don't have nothing, right? There's nothing wrong with thinking positive. I'm a firm believer that we should think positive and have faith and all those good things. There's nothing wrong with having faith and holding on to some type of hope that maybe one day you'll meet that someone special. But the reality is that when people say there's someone out there for everyone, it's not true. It's not true. Because like I told that guy, what about all the people that died that die every day? People die every day. And out of those people that died every day, how many of them did not get the opportunity to meet their true love, to meet their soulmate? I'll be willing to bet it was quite a few. So that debunks that theory that there's somebody out there for everybody. Because first of all, tomorrow's not promised. There's no guarantee you're going to even be here tomorrow. And so I used to, maybe at one time I might have believed that, but it's not true. There's not someone out there for everybody. Everybody ain't meant to be married. Some people are literally meant to be single. And I know some people might get mad at me for saying that. I'm not trying to piss on anybody's parade, so to speak. But everybody is not going to get married. Marriage is not for everybody. Some people are going to remain single. Now, 20 years ago, if you had told me that I was going to remain single, I actually had a sister when I was in the organization say that to me one time. And I just broke out in tears. If you had told me 20 years ago that I was never going to get married, I would have busted out in tears. And I would have probably gotten pissed off. I probably would have gotten mad at you, because how dare you say that to me? How dare you tell me I'm not going to get married? And at the time when she said it, I said, was she trying to say I'm ugly or something? I didn't say that to her, but I thought that after the fact. I said, after I teared up, I said, was she trying to say I'm ugly? Why is she saying I might not never marry? But, I don't know. Maybe something was in her spirit. I don't know. But if you had told me that back in the day, I would have been bawling my eyes out. The thought of that possibility of never marrying. But now I see things clearlier now. And my perspective has changed on things as far as being single. And to be perfectly honest, I prefer to remain that way. Perspectives change. We change every decade. I'm not the same person as I was when I was in my 40s or when I was in my 30s. And when I get in my 60s, I'm going to be different. Watch out. I may really be different in my 60s. We change every decade. And like I said, I see things for the way they are at my age. I can't speak for nobody else, but I see things the way that way they are, and I look at the reality. I'm a realist. Do I try to stay positive? Absolutely. Do I like to have hope? Absolutely. If we don't have hope, we don't have anything. Do I have a certain amount of faith? Absolutely. But with all that considered, with all things considered, I am realistic, and I look at things for the way they are. Because I've seen too much at this stage in my life. Being on the earth up to this stage in my life, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things. And I've seen a lot and experienced enough to know that life is not a fantasy. Life ain't no fantasy. You know, I've worked with people. I've worked in hospice, and I've worked with people that were dying. And that gives you a reality check. When you work with people that are dying, and you get the opportunity to see someone when they're getting ready to pass away, it's an experience. I would have to say, I gotta tell you that it's an experience. It is an experience. Not everybody gets to see that, because not everybody works in that field, or not everybody has experienced being around someone before they pass. But I was able to assist people while they were passing away, and I'm telling you, it's an experience, and it's a real eye opener. And it really, really helps you put things in perspective. And it really, really is deep, and it really makes you think. Makes you think about life. Makes you think about how short life is. You know. And it helps you, it makes you think about the realities of life. You know. And like I said, there's lots of people that die every day. They don't get the opportunity to meet their true love. I just don't believe that's true. I don't believe that there's someone out there for everyone. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy that people tell themselves to feel better. You know. And, you know, maybe that's what he told himself to make himself feel better about being single. I wasn't trying to piss on his parade. I don't know, maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Sometimes that's my greatest accomplishment. Sometimes my greatest accomplishment is keeping my mouth shut. Maybe I did piss on his parade. I didn't mean to piss on his parade, but I see things the way they are. Now, sometimes things people have said, and I knew in my mind that it wasn't reality. But I said, June, keep your mouth shut. Because if I had told them what was really up in that situation, they wouldn't have been able to handle it. If I had told them what was really up, they wouldn't have been able to handle it. So I told myself, June, shut up. I have to tell myself shut up sometimes. I have to say, June, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. And I have to sometimes keep my mouth shut. You know. Sometimes that's my greatest accomplishment, is keeping my mouth shut. But, you know, I keep it 100. And I see things for the way they are. And not the way I want to see them, or the way, I don't know, people, it's just reality. That's just who I am at this stage in my life. I don't live in fantasy. I don't operate in fantasy. I operate in realities. And that's not true. I don't believe that's true. Is there's somebody out there for everybody? I don't believe that. I honestly don't believe it. Because all the people that die every day, I bet you quite a few of them did not get the opportunity to meet the love of their life. Is it sad? Yeah, it's sad. Especially if that's what they wanted. But it is what it is. Okay, hit me up in the comment section if you ever, it's something I was marinating on. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know if you ever thought that. Or do you still believe that? If you still believe it, then disregard this video. Just hit me up in that comment section if you believe that, or if you feel like I do and you don't believe it. Or do you feel like I shouldn't have said that to that guy? Let me know. Let me know about that. Let me know if I shouldn't have said nothing. I should have kept my mouth shut. Okay, hit me up in that comment section. Hit that like button. That'll shoot my algorithm up. And I'll see you guys later.